There's a lot of videos out there showing you how to properly use pre-stain, but nobody's actually talking about how pre-stain works. Why is that? Once you know how the product works, you're more confident in using it, and you can do the proper steps that are required to get the results that are desired. Most of us know that pre-stain wood conditioner reduces the likelihood of blotching, which is especially common in soft and porous woods. But how does it do that? It prepares the wood fibers to absorb the stain more evenly throughout the wood by raising the grain and creating a barrier that prevents the stain from penetrating too deeply into the wood. Now this is video 1 of a 3-part series where I'm going to walk you through the prep and the pre-stain process, the staining process, and adding a top coat so that your project can look great for years to come. I want you to watch this all the way through as each module builds on the previous set. And then at the very end, I'm going to take this board and cut it in half so we can really see how deep and even the stain is with the pre-stain versus not using one. All right, so now that we understand how pre-stain works, let's start with step 1 of using the pre-stain, and that is reading the instructions. I get it. Nobody actually likes to read instructions, and it's pre-stain, so it should just be like slapping it on, wiping it off, right?
Wax on, right the hand, make a circle. Wax off, left hand, circle. Wax on, wax off.
Well, not quite. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what stain you want to use. Is it a water-based stain or an oil-based stain? That will tell you what type of pre-stain you need, and it'll also tell you what type of top coat protectant that you're going to use. Water and oil don't mix, so using the appropriate setup will give you the best results possible. Also, sticking with the same manufacturer is a great idea. I'm using Minwax products, and the manufacturer tests their stain with their pre-stain so they know how it's going to react, and that will give you a more predictable outcome. So before we start the staining process, I'm going to prepare the boards the same way, starting with 80 grit, then 180 and 220. After the staining is complete, I'm going to use a tack cloth to make sure that all the dust is gone. If you want to learn more about a tack cloth, then check the link in the description, as well as any products that we're using today. They will also be linked in the description. Now on both boards, I'm going to run a piece of painter's tape down the center. And on one side of it is going to be the pre-stain, and on the other side will not be pre-stain. So you can see how the wood reacts differently. It's important to note here that you should want the absolute least amount of imperfections in your wood if the goal is supremely even stain. While different styles may be more welcoming to dents and scratches, these areas will be highlighted once you stain due to how the wood fibers are damaged and what that does to their ability to absorb the stain. Now that we're fully prepared, it's time to open the can of conditioner and stir it well. It's up to you how you want to apply the pre-stain. You can use a rag or a brush. My personal favorite is spraying it on. The important thing here is to apply it evenly in the direction of the grain and to let it sit for the recommended amount of time. 1 to 5 minutes for water-based or 5 to 15 minutes for oil-based. Now again, this is Minwax's specific recommendations, so if you're using a different product, you should probably check out the can. And then remove any excess with a lint-free cloth. You don't want this to dry on the wood, so set a timer if you need to. If you're using the water-based stain, you'll want to lightly sand down the raised grain with 220 grit sandpaper. Use your tack cloth to remove the dust and apply your water-based stain. If you're using the oil-based stain, you only have 2 hours to apply the stain. Although I'm not completely clear as to why you'd want to wait that long, if you miss that window for whatever reason, sand it down with 220 grit and reapply the pre-stain. Wipe it off after 5 minutes and then apply the stain. You'll want to follow the stain's recommendations for application length and dry time prior to adding another coat if you want it to be darker, or adding a protective finish if you're satisfied. So that was it for the pre-stain. Now, if you're ready to move on to the stain, I'll see you in the next video right here.